FM94, The Dark, it is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And on the phone tonight, I have Zak and Mikey from the band Ambrose. And first of all, guys, thanks so much for joining me on The Dark tonight. And I tell you what, we've been spinning a couple of your tracks. We started off with Last Man Standing, and now your current track, at least that we're spinning, White Pony. And we've been getting some rave reviews around here. And we wanted to bring you guys in tonight to find out more about this band. How you guys doing, by the way?
We're doing great.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, what's the weather like in California tonight?
Oh, it's sunny. It's still sunny. I mean, luckily the leaves are starting to fall, whatever leaves that we have that aren't all season long.
Yeah.
But we don't get winters like you guys do. It's 80 degrees right now.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, well, we're having an unusually cool fall here, which we skipped the spring and fall seasons. We just had winter and summer, I guess, is all we've had this year. So,
wow,
absolutely. Hey, let's get to the band a little bit here, and I want to know about how this band all started. And I don't know who wants to take the lead on this, Zak or Mikey, but give us the history of how the band Ambrose got going.
Basically, what happened the band's been around for a while, and it's been through several iterations, and I started off, I came down to Hollywood, like 18, and just started out from the bottom up, with an acoustic guitar doing open mics and all this stuff. And I just played in bands my entire life in high school. And so we finally got a band together. It was called Love Child Suicide, originally on the Strip. And this was like 2006, and got a deal actually as a solo artist. And so the label had me come in, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll track an album as a solo artist. I didn't really care. I didn't really understand the industry at that time, and I was just looking to record as much as possible. So they ended up putting a big budget to it, and the album, I ended up playing with the bass player who we actually used on this record, and a studio drummer. And so they put together a really big album at that time. And I got the chance to actually record like a big budget record the way that we did this record, and got kind of spoiled with the whole thing. And because it was like when you have any kind of anything you want to do a record, you get to do your dream record. And back then you could still do a $100,000 record. It wasn't like today where bands really have to do it all on their own like we're doing and all the other bands out there. And so, but we've tried to keep to that formula of doing whatever it takes to get the songs right and to make them sound live. So basically, I've always written for a live performance because I was, kind of grew up performing off the Strip. And then the band kind of fell apart when the label went under in 2008. And so, but we had some radio success. So basically, I was lucky enough to meet our radio promoter, Bill Hans, and he broke this song, All I Ever Wanted, on Sirius XM. And then Promised Land was, broke out of Chicago, WIIL, and also out of Spokane, which is still, one of our favorite markets. And I ended up having to go to rehab, and then took a time out, and that's when I met Mikey, the drummer. And so I was kind of over it and trying to figure out what am I going to do next, because my whole life I'd, partied and played rock and roll, and that's all I knew. And, Mikey and I just started jamming together. I was in the sober living in Malibu, and we just started playing together every day for fun. And so we just started out doing it for fun and for what it's supposed to be, and it should always be, for just, the two of us just jamming out and seeing what happens and getting into the live mode. And next thing you know, we're at it like 3 or 4 days a week. And he and I got really, really tight musically, as well as became best friends and spent literally every day together for about 2 years. And then we went out and started playing some shows, and so we got a great response in Hollywood, and went to New York, and we played the bitter end in New York, had a great response in New York, and then after that, Mikey was like, well, we got to do a record, and so we spent about 2 years, jamming and writing material, and so we've got probably 30 songs total that were ready to go in the studio, and we picked the top 12.
Top 12 that we recorded,
That we recorded. And then from the top 12, we decided to do a release of an EP first because, we're still independent and shopping for a deal. And, and want to find the right team to get involved with launching a full-length release and get out on the road, But we were able to do it the right way, and we did it in this beautiful studio called Windmark in Santa Monica through an old Neve, and it was all live. And I mean, Mikey and I we played so much together that he can read what I'm doing, and I just vibe off whatever he's doing. And so the album, it sounds a lot like we said. It's us live, really. So I mean, we just cut the whole thing live, all the rhythm sections live, and then overdubbed lead guitars and vocals, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, you guys were able to send me out a copy here just recently called Last Man Standing, and I had a chance to listen to it the other day, and I honestly was blown away by it because of how just live it sounds, and that's the beauty of rock music. You don't have all the tracks behind it and that. If you can just play some pure live music, people will love it, and I think they're going to fall in love with this EP.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a lot of work, and that's what we were hoping for too. And I mean, we could have come in and done it right away, but it was like we both know how fortunate that we are to A, have each other in the band, and then B, also be able to have the experience to really do this kind of a record, because it's really hard and it's rare to do. And like you said, I mean, it's just the budgets aren't there like they used to be with the major labels for a lot of bands, and so it's anyone's really fortunate when they get the chance to actually do a rock album. It's obviously a lot more expensive than doing like a hip hop album where you just loop a bunch of tracks.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Anthony Fox produced the whole thing, who, he did a bunch of the older stuff as well and mixed and mastered it all. And so he was here for a month, and we just slammed 12 songs in 28 days.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think our listeners here are they understand the rock music side of things a little bit better than maybe some other radio stations, because, we play a lot of independent bands, so they understand the struggle that is out there. It is a struggle, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the payoff is being able to have these kind of conversations where you're talking to someone who actually gets it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then the response from being able to play the music live and just writing what you want to hear. I mean, really, I think we just play what we want to hear.
Absolutely. It's a gift.
It is, for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's infectious too, I guess, is what I was going to say. So I mean, it's like, everybody who's been on stage before and has gotten to fly with a great lineup and actually had that euphoric feeling, I think it's really addicting.
What I was going to say is this CD is really a fresh, up-and-coming thing for rock radio, because I don't feel a lot of what you guys currently have on this Last Man Standing EP that's even out there yet. So it's almost like you're going to open the door for kind of a new genre of rock and roll. Is that kind of your idea, I guess, to maybe be a little bit different than what the norm is right now on rock radio?
I mean, the biggest thing for us when we, write music is, it's going to be Ambrose, that Ambrose sound. And,
it's effortless, really.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
we don't put much thought into it, actually.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, rock and roll sometimes is not supposed to be much thought. It's supposed to be just fun, and whatever comes out, comes out. And I think there's so many artists out there that put too much time into it that it actually destroys rock.
It's true. And I think that's why it separates maybe from other sounds out there, is because we're not trying to do we're actually not trying anything. We're just doing it, you know what I mean? And then
right.
It comes out naturally, and it's doing it as a band and letting each member kind of evolve into the moment, and then the song just comes out. Like Last Man Standing, that was a prime example. We wrote that a couple weeks before we went in the studio? 2 weeks before we went in the studio. Mikey calls me and he goes, "Okay, I got the dates secured, it's like go time." And so I'm pulling out all the lyric books and drilling down. I'm like, we need I really want to get a heavier song, kind of like our Welcome to the Jungle. I mean, that was where my mind would go, is kind of like, we've got all these different styles and influences that we can play from more of a Southern rock country stance storytelling to Hollywood rock and roll. And I'm just like, we got to come up with something that just hits everybody over the head more for the live performance than anything else. You know what I mean? And so that riff was a flamenco guitar riff, which is in B flat, and then it's, you know, like a mix of a bunch of scales. So it's all chromatic really, but that riff was a flamenco riff. I brought it in, and I'm like, what do you think about this? And so I'm plowing into it with like the 16th note approach, and he goes right at it, you know, with like the double time, the da 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 da, you know, and it gave it that punk thing, and right away I was like, oh.
Yeah. That's crazy. I love it because, and I love how you just described it. As you said, I kind of felt a little Southern rock, a little twang in there, but yet, you know, it's still got, like you said, a Hollywood vibe to it, like the rock and roll scene. That's a perfect description, because I was trying to find that other description, because it does have a little bit of a GNR feel to it a little bit too, at least in the early stages.
For sure. And I mean, that, because I mean, you grow up listening to these records, and they're the best records that were ever done to date, because they had the budget to do it, and they did. And if you look at it, I mean, really, I mean, it's like Appetite's a miracle. There's a lot of albums that are just almost like miracles. I mean, like several of the Metallica albums where it's just like this quick window into this band's life, and they get like 3 to 4 years where they're just in their prime, and they capture that. And that's really what we're trying to do. You know, it's like we took the cream of the crop from each of the different, you know, kind of styles that we naturally jam into. What is that going to look like? And that's why the album, I think, is, you know, like you're saying, it's pretty diverse when it comes to style-wise, because we actually have like brothers and sisters to all those songs, you know. So,
yeah.
I mean, we could do easily two or three albums more of material, but I mean, those were just the ones that we felt will come across live and actually can be broken down. So like on Summer Sunshine, you know, that's like about an ex-girlfriend that I actually met in treatment at rehab, and it's all about, you know, falling in love in Malibu and all this stuff. But I mean, you know, this chick was a party chick, obviously, and she was too much for most, but just enough for me, right? So that's one of the lyrics.
Absolutely, yeah. I like that. It's kind of just a fun vibe song, that was.
Yeah, and so like for a song like that, it's like that's why the bridges are kind of how they are, and that outro riff, it's like this swing. Mikey came up with this swing time vibe. And it's kind of got this old Aerosmith flat picking thing, because I'm doing all flat. There's no picking on it. It's just all finger picking, right? Flat picking. And when we play it live, we just, like the last show we did, we just jam that thing out for like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's really how the album is meant to be. So some of those songs are definitely can be interpreted differently live, I guess, is what I was trying to say too.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. We're talking with Zak and Mikey from the band Ambrose. The EP is called Last Man Standing, and I know you got some excitement coming up here, because in less than a couple of weeks, you're going to have an EP, obviously, blast out at the Viper Room. That should be a pretty cool thing, huh?
Yeah.
It'll be a blast.
It will be a blast. And it always sounds great in there, and the vibe is still the same as it's always been. And I mean, you know, just growing up and playing there, you know, like some of the best times of my life have been in that room, and I've seen everyone from Buck Cherry, I've seen Slash, and I've seen everybody play in there, and I mean, and then I've played there a million times, and it's just a cool vibe, and it's like the last hallmark of Hollywood, kind of like CBGB's was in New York, you know. So
absolutely,
it's a great place for a launch party, and it'll just be like all friends and, you know, all the friends and families throughout the year that have been coming out, and that's pretty much how it is in Hollywood now. I mean, like, you know, the people that come out to the shows, it's like, yeah, you know, everybody gets like married or meets a girlfriend or something. You know, it's a scene, kind of. You know, well, it is a scene. So it's nice to have that, and it's fun because everybody is there for the same reason, just to enjoy the moment, and they're fans of live music like we are. You know, and like we love playing with other bands too. So it's fun to be able to put together an entire night and try to showcase other artists and other genres. Like we got a country band from Silver Lake that's going to play, and you know, and then a couple of heavier bands at the end of the night. So, but the whole thing kind of glues together like you'd want in a show. You know, you don't want to just go to see just one band. You'd like to be able to, you know, have a full night of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a little diversity. That's always good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about a little bit more. You mentioned live. Have you guys played a lot of live outside of the area there in California? Done some touring, or has it pretty much been in that area right now?
Yeah, I mean, we've hit the Northwest. We played at the Knitting Factory in Spokane the last time before we did the record. So, and that was a blast. That venue is insane, and Spokane's got probably the coolest scene. That whole city is just diehard rock and roll, and so it was packed. I mean, people were stage diving and stuff at that show. I mean, it was just amazing. It was like 1991 up there, and so we're planning on getting back up to the Northwest and back down, and then New York. We played in New York at the bitter end, and then we'll probably be back out there again as well. Because on the East Coast, it's you just have to figure out how can you play as many shows as possible within a certain budget. And so, the East Coast is everything's so close together. You can play, 4 or 5 times a week, and it's not as far of a drive as it is on the West Coast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's definitely a scene in the Northwest out here that's great. And Chicago is really. I mean, we're dying to play in Chicago and also get across the Wisconsin. Mikey's from Wisconsin, so he's about to go hunting.
Well, we won't put it against you, Mikey, from Wisconsin. Since we're Minnesota, but just as long as you say you're not a Packer fan, that's all that matters. Are you a Packer fan, Mikey? Mikey, are you a Packer fan?
I'm a diehard cheesehead Packer fan.
Oh boy! Did you watch the game the other night with once again the comeback of the mighty, I guess the Lord, whatever you want to call him, Aaron Rodgers? I tell you, it's okay. All right, so everything was going well until he told me you were from Wisconsin. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I've gone to many concerts in Wisconsin, including Green Bay, and Wisconsin people know how to have fun. That's all I'm going to say.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, my dad was in a touring rock band for about 30 years out of Wisconsin, and so he's told me some stories.
No, it is phenomenal, the scene over there, and the rock scene is pretty strong over in Wisconsin, which is great to see. It'd be nice if it would get a little stronger here in Minnesota, but it's got its pockets around here. Have you obviously from Wisconsin, Mikey, Zach, have you ever been to Minnesota?
No, I have not.
Well, we're going to have to get you up here, maybe in the summer, because, the winter, maybe not so much, but...
Yeah, I'm dying to do it. I mean, we're dying to get out. I mean, we are. That's the whole reason, that we write the songs and put out the record and everything else. And we're very fortunate to have this, a really hard-working radio promoter that really believes in the band. And, really, he's been pushing us real hard. And it's great when you get people, you start getting momentum and you get people around you that are like a family, they believe in what you're doing, and that really helps. So.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to ask the next question with rock radio. How, obviously you mentioned a few of the stations that have really embraced you. How overall has the scene embraced you so far? Is it still kind of in that early stages?
Yeah, I mean, it is because, really the EP is just coming out. So.
Right.
What happened was, so we put out Last Man Standing. It's crazy. So we wrote this song in about, 2 weeks, not even, right?
Yep.
So a couple of rehearsals, slammed that thing down, and it was like the first track that we recorded because we were chomping at the bit. And then it was the first one mixed and mastered. And, Bill was chomping at the bit to get something out, and he was coming into the studio to hear us, regularly. And he was like, just give me something. I want to start promoting something. So we're like, okay, Anthony, can you just work on this mix for now? And then we'll get the rest of this stuff done. And so, we gave him the MP3 and didn't even have a WAV file yet. And so he sent that out and it just started taking off, And it was kind of like the way that, you were advantageous enough to play White Pony. I mean, that wasn't even a mastered version of the track. So now you've got the master.
Right.
And it was just, it's like when you never know how many albums you're actually going to get in this lifetime to do. And so we really honed in on every little thing, like, every little riff, which notes were to be accentuated here and there, just because, I mean, you get to do it once yourself,
Yeah, we had the opportunity to take our time and to do it right. And, and with Zach and I, it's we either do it right or we don't do it at all. And so we put everything we had, into these songs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, have you been able to get? Have you been
forever?
Yeah. Have you been able to get some help in the industry a little bit for some other people that have already, kind of got their feet wet a little bit, or are you guys still kind of young in that yet too?
I mean, we're looking. So, we know we got to get out and be playing as much as possible. So that's what we're in the process of doing. I mean, we're actually just booking as many shows as we can right now. And it looks like we're likely going to come out to New York between September and January, and I mean, hopefully, if we can get WIL out of Chicago, because they broke Promised Land in a big way, and they've got like a 30,000 listenership. And
Right.
when they broke that song, it was really helpful for my career back then. So I mean, I still run into people randomly that remember that track being played on that radio station. So when you get a bigger market like that with the rock radio, it makes sense to fly out there, because as long as you're breaking even and everyone can make enough to get by, you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
And it just seems more and more so than ever that, I mean, we've got the album, and now we just got to keep going out live as much as possible and solidifying the fan bases, because the labels, it seems like they want to come in after everything's done. So,
yeah.
all I know is we're not waiting around. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, if people want information about the band Ambrose, or for that matter, want to get a hold of a copy of the EP of Last Man Standing, how are they going to be able to do that?
It's up on Spotify. So
It's on Spotify. The single Last Man Standing is on Spotify.
yeah, and the EP will be up, I think, by the end of the week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole EP will be up on Spotify by the end of the week, and it's under, what is this, under Ambrose?
It's under Ambrose.
Yeah.
We'll post the Ambrose link on Facebook and Instagram, and
Yeah, and so on Facebook, if they just go, it's /Ambrose music, yeah. And then
Instagram is ambrose.music.
Great. That is awesome, guys. And you know what? Even though, like I said, Mikey, you're from Green Bay, we'll still allow, or at least you're from Wisconsin, we'll still allow you to come to Minnesota. So hopefully we can get you up here maybe sometime in 2019. Would that be great?
we'd love that.
We would absolutely love it.
I mean, if you hear of any gigs out there, where it makes sense, we're there,
Well, we got two shows here that we put on every year, the radio station. We call it our kickoff to summer bash and our end of summer bash. It's an outdoor show. We normally get about 4 national bands together to play. I think you guys would be a perfect fit for one of those shows.
I mean, we're there.
Yeah, for sure.
You heard that, Central Minnesota. We're probably going to get Ambrose coming here sometime next year, so make sure you keep it tuned here to The Dark. Hey, any final comments, guys, before we get going here?
We just want to thank you so much for breaking new rock and roll, and all the fans that have stuck with, rock and roll and real live music, and we're going to keep going as long as people keep listening. So
Absolutely.
we really appreciate it, and I mean, we're doing it for all of us. I mean, we grew up loving the live music, and that's why we're doing it. So we can't, give you enough praise for keeping it alive. It's American heritage, man. This country is born and raised on rock and roll.
Absolutely, 100%. Hey, Zach, Mikey, thanks so much for joining me. We're going to play White Pony right now. You okay with that?
Right on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Once again, that is Zach, that is Mikey. They're with the band Ambrose, and their latest song that we're spinning right now on FM94's The Dark is White Pony. You got it now. It's on The Dark at FM94.